All right, life on Mars. Let's see it.
This is a bone on Mars.
What?
Okay?
That's on Mars.
That's on Mars. That's a bone.
What?
Yeah. It certainly isn't a stone.
Dude. It definitely looks like a bone. That's crazy.
That does not look like a stone. And you got these from JPL?
Yeah.
Really?
Come right off a negative of Mars in their mapping series. See these little buildings? One there, one there. Here's three.
I don't know. I mean, like, I guess. I don't know.
3 in a row.
Buildings.
Yeah.
This is on Mars.
Here's a building over here.
Oh, I kind of see it. The 3 in a row over here. I get it.
Is it a picture from a rover or is it a picture from a telescope or?
It's a picture from a mapping. Here's a curly Q. It's a picture from a mapping satellite. That's a satellite making maps of Mars.
Wow.
That is a non-natural edge. You don't get a 30-mile edge like that.
Wow.
By nature. That's a sheer cliff.
How long is that?
30 miles.
30 miles.
Now I'll show you.
Could it be like a dune though? Like, couldn't it just be like wind, like Sierra Desert kind of stuff?
Where it comes from. Here it is. So that's that edge. That's just a deep chasm. That's a perfectly straight edge. It comes out of right here and goes straight as an arrow all the way across and then fades into the ground there.
That is weird.
Here's a cavern, and it's got all this like wire stuff on the top.
Not gonna lie, that's pretty weird, man. On Mars? Remember, this is all on Mars. That is kind of weird, dude. What is it, like a big spider?
So that's a subterranean cavern?
That's a subterranean cavern. You cannot see into it, but it's very deep.
And there's wiring?
That's wiring. Here's the interesting part. When we first caught this on Mars, there was a bright red light right here.
What?
That's gone out since we caught it. I actually have a photo of the light.
What?
Yeah,
what do you think?
Bright red light.
What do you think the light was? Well, that almost implies that there's something there now.
Yeah. Let me show you something else.
So there are people at JPL who definitively think.
There you go.
Is that real?
That's real.
Whoa.
That's 3 feet long and that big around. And it's got buttons on it and a rotating thing.
What? Whoa, what? Dude, that looks freaking weird, man. That looks like a remote control or something. That's crazy.
That was taken on Mars.
That's laying on Mars, man.
And if you sent that to like a NASA photo instrumentation specialist, they wouldn't be able to debunk it.
What they do is they say, bullshit, that's not off of Mars. Well, I have the negative.
You have the negative.
Yeah.
What, dude?
So they can say whatever the hell they want.
And you can back it up with these JPL guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I will send you that.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll send you something else very similar.
Joe, I appreciate it, man. This is amazing.
Not a problem.
So JPL is just sitting on these.
Yeah, but you got to understand something. You got to know exactly what negative you're asking for to get the picture.
Why would they hide this information?
They're not hiding it. They're just not talking about
it. But it's so mind-blowing and important.
I mean, even if they were talking about it, I feel like at this point, people aren't even going to believe them. I mean, people are sharing stuff online left and right, but the thing is, it's like every time somebody shares something, people online are like, that's AI. That's fake. Like AI is so good at this point. It's like, how do you know which one's real and which one's not? You know what I mean?
I mean, the other interesting thing,
plus you can't trust the government. So even if the government's like, yeah, this is real, you know what I mean?
I'm just thinking as you're saying all of this is that it's been hypothesized even by conventional science that at one point habitable life existed on Mars and it was stripped of its magnetosphere, maybe due to an asteroid
because
impact.
it was moved. Something passed through our solar system and took inner area planets
Mhm.
and moved them to outer areas, outer rim.
And what do you
And
think?
outer rim planets were moved to inner rim.
What do you think?
Rim.
What do you think moved through our solar system?
Some big object passed through our solar system that did that with its gravity field.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
It probably stripped the atmosphere of Mars at the same time. It's impossible to know now. It could be a wild planet.
Wait. So he's saying that something came by that was so big that was able to disrupt gravitational pulls, which disrupted the atmosphere of Mars, which is what extinct the thing that was living on Mars and made it inhabitable. Trying to keep up.
Planet out there doing an elliptical orbit that takes 20,000 years.
Any other alien artifacts that you saw in these negatives?
Sure.
What else?
I'm not going to go there because this is all going in a book. But
It's
I
going in
got
a
to tell you
book.
this.
Gotta read it.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think sufficient evidence exists that we, in fact, might be aliens.
And what is that evidence?
That evidence is the way we treat our planet.
Not well.
All we do is take. We're the only animals on this planet that has no respect for our nest.
So you think we were imported here?
I think this is where we came, maybe from Mars.
So maybe.
Okay, so now he's saying that like we were on Mars. So we were on Mars. We went to Earth because we wanted to, the same way that like Elon wants to go to Mars. We want to like, live on interplanetarial. But something came through the atmosphere and basically made it so that we couldn't live on Mars, but the people that survived on Earth continued on. It's an interesting theory.
Some remnant survivors of that cataclysm or something, or explorers, maybe before the cataclysm came here.
I think there were people that got stuck on Mars and tried to survive by hibernating. I think elements of people on Mars went all different directions looking for help or another place they could go. And I think some of the people wound up here. Now, what happens when you jump to another planet, you leave all your industry behind. So the only thing you have that's advanced technology is the ship. You cannibalize the ship till you've used every single part on it for something. When you run out of that, you slowly devolve back to sticks and stones. And the reason why is you can't just build a manufacturing plant. You have to start at the very base, work your way forward, develop leisure time, all the skill sets necessary, and go through all the steps to eventually build a manufacturing plant.
I guess that holds some validity, right? So let's say that we came from Mars and we had a spaceship, it crashed or it landed on Earth. We would only be able to use what we have as far as what was on the ship. What if some of the materials on the ship helped us build the pyramids and stuff? I don't know, but I see what he's saying, that like over time though, if you don't really have the technology, because you don't have the ability, you don't have factories to like build more of the stuff that you have, like more machinery, more tools, more weapons, more this, more that. Eventually, smart people are gonna die, and all the other humans that didn't learn their knowledge are gonna forget everything, and then they're gonna have to turn into like, Neanderthals again, and then have to like re-go throughout history, I guess.
You wrote a fantastic book that I recommend everybody read called The Ultimate Time Machine.
Yeah.
you hypothesize something very interesting about how the pyramids of Giza were built, which is a subject of
I literally
endless
just said that.
speculation because people don't think that with prosaic, conventional, civil engineering techniques, we can actually build the pyramid. So what do you think?
We might have poured the stones, mixed them and poured them.
What does that mean? Poured the stones?
Over a long period of time, concrete turns to stone. When they build a skyscraper or a house with poured concrete, the first 25 years you live in a house, that concrete is not hard. It's hardening. It takes 100 years for concrete to harden completely. Once it hardens, it then starts converting to stone.
I honestly think that this is probably the best hypothesis of how we might have built the pyramids I've ever heard. It solves the issue of, like, because people were like, oh, they didn't have any tools to cut stones. They couldn't have carried the stones. You can make some pretty precise edging with concrete. That's a pretty wild way of thinking about it. And it definitely, we could do that today. Pretty sure. Oh man, that's crazy to think about. That's crazy.
10,000, 20,000 years later, it's rock. And if you test it, it's rock. And you may say, that looks an awful lot like granite. But it may be that it was actually mixed and poured at the time it was set.
Interesting.
Okay. So there are places where the stones look like pillows that were put in place. They wrap around other deformations and look like they literally were made out of clay and then put in place and then got hard.
So that implies, hardening process, basically. Yeah. That's fascinating. It would explain the megatonnage because you can't really carry that in solid form.
Yeah.
Well, there's maybe ways you can.
Sure.
So.
Well, that was the other thing you said in that book is that there was water that allowed for the transport of these.
What I said was they built reed boats. They actually harvested the stone up the Nile where the quarries are, loaded the stones in the boats and brought them down. And where the pyramid is, they dammed it and just flooded that whole area. And as the water level came up, they rolled the stones off the boats in place.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
What a sophisticated, amazing use of nature.
Yeah. Why not?
And what do you think the purpose of the pyramid was?
But how would the boat be able to hold like millions of tons of? I don't know about that one. I like the other theory a little bit better.
So this is also a subject of endless speculation.
I think it's a transmitter.
Okay.
Emitter
of signals.
Whoever they want to talk to. Go back to the time of their creation and figure out where they're pointed.
Well, Orion's belt. Before this last precession around the North Star Polaris, it mapped fully to Orion's belt.
Okay.
So this was, I think, around 10,600 BC is when it shifted. And before that, mapped to Orion's belt, which is always the place across mythologies and civilizations. It's the place the souls would ascend through.
The path of souls, that idea that on death our soul makes a kind of leap up to the heavens and then makes a journey along the Milky Way, and that journey is full of challenges and difficulties on which we will be assessed for the use we made of the incredible gift of life. That idea is found all over the world.
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Maybe.
Supposedly.
That's how we went back to Orion's belt.
Maybe.
It's the emitter of us.
Oh, that's not.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're sort of celestial ascent chambers.
I can tell you there's ways of using the chambers and things within the pyramid chemically to make emitters.
That's what I've heard before, is that if you use certain chemicals and they combine inside the chambers, it could be used as like a power plant or some other device.
Interesting.
You can make a giant emitter out of it.
Emitter of what?
everything from light to whatever you want to emit, frequency wise.
That's so fascinating. Have you ever remote viewed the crucifixion?
No.
All right. Well, that's the end of that segment. I just wanted to watch that. I thought it was. What do we think? That's crazy with the photos on Mars. And it is a wild theory of how we might have started on Mars and came here afterwards and de-evolved. I've never heard of that one before, but I'm digging it. I'm not, I like the whole de-evolving idea of turning back into primates, but then eventually, it's like Thanos, like I am inevitable. Like it's always going to happen that humans are going to be able to create computers and AI and robots and stuff like that. Like maybe it's just we are inevitable. And maybe some of the stories passed down from the Bible, maybe some of the prophets were like some of the original people that were like on ships. Maybe yeah, I'm kind of going down a little bit of rabbit hole here. Like what if they were prophets, right? Like what if they were the original ones from the ships and they all kind of like went their own way to teach like their own group of people like what they know, and they wrote it in a book and people interpreted it differently throughout the years because they didn't really understand what the technology was once new generations came, because they weren't exposed to it. Like they were like growing up now, you're exposed to it as soon as you're like a little kid. You see technology here and there, but like if the prophet was the only one who really saw technology, maybe he had a tool here and there, like how Jesus turns water into wine. It could have been, I don't know, but if he had like a tool, maybe you'd think that he's kind of like godly or something like that. Man, it's an interesting theory. My mind's kind of going a little haywire thinking about it. But then once those prophets are dead, like all you have is their writing, right? And if you're someone that wasn't raised around the technology like they were, perhaps like he's saying on Mars, you're going to interpret things as angels, demons, chariots in the sky, dragons, like I don't know. I have no idea. It's a fascinating theory. I love this whole video. But I think that like it's I haven't watched the whole thing, but I'm going to. But yeah, I wanted to react to this one segment because I knew that they were talking about the life on Mars and the rogue planets and aliens and stuff, which is what I am very interested in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This I actually don't even know who this guy is. I guess he's a CIA psychic spy. I haven't even done research on it, but I started watching this video like over here during like the language and military experiences stuff, and then I saw this segment where it's like the life on Mars and stuff, and I wanted to react to it. Let me know what your thoughts are below. I'll link the video below too, and let me know what you think. Remember to stay positive. It'll always work out.